tell myself I'm what I call an agri-foodie. That means I'm in love with agriculture and food, and the way I want to approach it is really like a foodie. Get very passionate about it, like almost a geek about it, but also want to share more about it. And every time I'm in this call or I talk to different founders, I'm a learner. I try to learn more about it, and the more you try to get so-called expertise, the more you realize you're in the unknown and you have more to learn. So that's probably one of the biggest learning I'm sharing right now. And maybe I can share a bit about our missions in TSAO PAO CHEE, and dive a bit more on the food and what we want to achieve and why we want the community to help us to achieve that. So maybe in the meantime, just a few words about TSAO PAO CHEE. TSAO PAO CHEE is it's a family business, the fourth generations. The core business is in the shipping, and now the next era of development, it's about what we call the well-being economy. And maybe I need to spend a bit of time on what we define as a well-being economy on the next slide. So the well-being economy is a bit going further with what we will so-call the impact or ESG. It's a more holistic approach where we believe that in a well-being, you have different pillars within that economy to help yourself to thrive, your environment and the planet to be sustainable. So the well-being first is around the wellness. Why we put it first? Because it's a bit like a safety situation where if you want to be safe and contribute to the world, the first thing first is for yourself to be in a good place. And that's why well-being is very in place. And of course, it's like by circle, you look at your next circles, it's about your environments, climate and natures, the energy transitions, but also food, not only for yourself to nourish yourself, but believe that food is also a planetary solutions. But the way how we produce it, the way we distribute it, the way it consumes could be a solutions. We look at the what we call human constraints, and a more layman way is about materials, how we build the world and how we can be more deliberate on choosing the materials or the way of the engineering behind. And because we believe of looking at supply chain not only in a linear way, we are really keen to develop the circular economy. We cannot continue to just being a linear buy and produce and dispose. The circular economy need to be part of the value chain. And when we need to rethink of what is a value chain, circular economy will be part of it. So maybe that's a bit of framework of what we put behind the well-being economy and why such a group or so-called kind of conglomerate that the core businesses in shipping have this change driven by our chairman, Chevalier Frederick Chow. And if we deep dive in food, and the next slide, please, I would say that our mission is very simple. If you want to put it in one sentence, and I put it there, is we want to accelerate the way that the food is produced and distributed to better nourish people and the planet in the most efficient way. And by doing so, we believe that we will create value and impact. That's probably what we believe. And if you want to translate it, it translates on beliefs that we have in industries for food. We believe food could be a medicines. We believe food could be a planetary solution to re-nourish the planet. And we believe that food systems could be more efficient. And when you translate our investment thesis or where we want to develop opportunities is look at the people. How plant-forward, functional food, personal nutrition can play a better role. We look at plant-forward again because it's not the simple plant-based. It's because if you go back to the roots of what plant-based can forward, it is deeply a solution for medicines, but also a solution for planetary, which is my transition for how we look at planetary solutions. We try to see what carbon, soil, water life underwaters, and biodiversity can play a role. And by saying these two, we need to recognize that it needs to go together, and there is a system around that. And today we challenge the status quo that a lot of these systems have to be improved. the way we distribute the supply chain, the waste and circularity, but also how some process and systems in place need to be improved. We've been talking a lot about climate mitigation, but the climate have been changing. And now, right now, if you're talking to farmers, they ask more for climate adaptations and solution around that just mitigations. And this is a kind of investment thesis, but there's also the belief of how we want to see the industry to be shaped in down directions. And in a way we do that, next slide, it's again, it's about building this agri-foodie industry by shifting the mindset and building this community together. So this is a very visual way. If you talk about what is a foodie, if you want to put a very caricature way, it's very self-centered. It's focused on consumerism. And when you talk about agri-foodie, the word we try to see is the perception is very different. It's how agriculture and food go together and be very conscious, a very high level of awareness and conscious of every bite you take will have an impact. So, and the way how we produce, we want to do it. So it's really about look at it as consciousness. And the way we look at this is advocacy and literacy have to go together. And we see many cases where a lot of emphasis on advocacy has been given without the literacy. And regardless who you are in that value chain, how you develop your knowledge, it goes hand in hand. And the more you get educated on understanding the problem, the better you will solve it. I always say as an engineer that a problem well started is half solved. So that's why education is very important to go on top of advocacy. And it also goes with my belief that we want to change the industry one bite at a time, one seed at a time. But the first seed you want to plant is in your mind. And it goes with advocacy and literacy together. So that's why we have a thinking together on how we build the communities, how we link this all together, and it goes through that exercise. And investment is actually just one of the mediums to move our industry on the right directions, but it has to go with advocacy and literacy. And one of the best way to work on advocacy and literacy is really about connecting people through food, which is on the next slide, what we talk about, what we have is Octave Culinary. So Octave Culinary is one of our divisions where the mission is to inspire plant-based journey by celebrating foods. Basically, the best way to connect people, to find alignment is around the table. Because one of the strong beliefs we have is food is emotions. And when you have discussion around the tables, the connection to food is very important. And actually, when you talk about what is your favorite food, for most of the time, to everybody you talk, the reason your favorite food is because of a linkage you have emotionally to your parents, why you love your comfort food is coming from what you get at home. There's a reason about it. It's really an emotion behind that. Right? And to continue on the discussion of how emotionally we want to connect is the reason also why we're building the Impact Week. But it's coming in September, on the 15th and 19th of September. Why we do Impact Week? It's simply by putting that questions. What if 5 days putting together can shape the next 50 years? It's not only about food, but there's a whole impact that we want to create. There's a reason why we want to cater these events. And we're really grateful to have partners like Synergos, Grow Asia, entities within the World Economic Forums, but also United Nations speakers to join. And we have also great speakers who are joining us, right? Sangeeta will be part of the panels. Melissa will be one of the key moderators. So you already see some familiar face joining our events, and I think will be a strong voice for what we believe in advocacy and literacy. And maybe a short kind of teaser of what we will talk about during the Impact Week, and probably I will stop from there. On the next slide, it's a 5 days event and 3 days curating for more the conventional speaking events, so-called, We have one day where we have a great partners called Grow Asia. It's backed by the World Economic Forum, ASEAN's. They're celebrating the 10 years anniversary, and they decided to co-host the event with us. So we have one full day talking about smallholders, farmers, gender diversities, and how the digitalization can empower all of this. And there's another track of food track where I've been co-curated with a lot of partners on different topics. So there's 4 topics that is very dear to my heart. One is about how we can bring impact across the supply chain. So we try to show an example of the supply chain and how impact can be monitors from a landscaping purpose, from the working with smallholders down to the plates with how a social coffee retail business can make sense. And of course, to de-risk that, we need capital, and blended finance will be discussed. And we have very interesting case, which are existing case of philanthropy and blended finance supported together startups to have them bridge them to be so-called investables for the venture capitals or even the larger scales. The third topic that we really would like to talk is, and I think I mentioned about, is about food waste and circularity. How actually we can create wealth around that, and how we can tackle the reality of the situations. So we have also some live example of how food can be recirculated in the market, some using digital solutions, and some more on the investment lens as well. And the last one, I think I mentioned as well, is plant forward and food as a medicines, how it can really be a prescriptions for your body and the planet. So I hope this kind of topic is enlightening for you. I would love to see you there to join and having your discussions. Thank you.